Hey guys, CDTVProductions here, and welcome back to another episode of On Then Gone, where we will be looking at rappers that have fallen off. And today, we will be looking at Mr. Adlib himself, Desiigner. And we will be talking about his rise, his fall, why this happened, and if he can ever make a comeback. Now, many people have said that it's debatable that Desiigner has fallen off, but in this video, I'm going to be talking about why I personally think that he has, and who knows, maybe you'll agree with me by the end of it, maybe not, but we'll see. So, this is CDTV Productions. You can, of course, follow me on Instagram under that name, and let's look at the rise and the fall of Desiigner.
I'm a monster, I'm a killer. Shawty go pop to the video. Bunch of clip a key. Jump out the door, go.
I think Designer's rise could be referred to as meteoric. We all know the song he came up from. It was with his song Panda, released on December 15th, 2015. I mean, this song was obviously gonna be a hit. It was so understandable. It had thought-provoking lyrics.
I got broad, yeah, I get it. I got cards, yeah, shit it.
And you know, it was made by a guy who had no problem standing still and looking normal.
I got broads in Atlanta. Just to lean the family. Credit cards in the scammers. Hitting the licks in the van.
A deadly recipe for a banger right there. And obviously it worked because the song went 5 times platinum and it was sampled on Kanye's The Life of Pablo album. It also, of course, landed him a spot on Kanye's Good Music label, so things were looking insanely promising for Desiigner. He basically managed to blow up off of one single song. So naturally, just a couple months later, he announced his album would be titled Life of Desiigner, clearly planning to drop it during his peak. But we'll talk about that album a little bit later. His accolades increased further when in June 2016, Desiigner was revealed as one of the 10 XXL Freshmen of that year, and to this date, has the most viewed 2016 Freshman freestyle, sitting at 12 million views. I mean, it was probably for the memes. Just watch that video and look at the way he looks at the camera. It's kind of hilarious. I can't show it here because XXL, they like their copyright strikes. In the same month that he made the Freshman list, he released his mixtape titled New English, which had a good enough commercial performance, but it didn't really receive much in the way of critical acclaim. He would then have another successful single release in July of 2016 with Timmy Turner, which was basically his XXL freestyle turned into a song. Now, whilst this wasn't the phenomenon that Panda was, it still peaked at number 34 on the Billboard charts and went platinum. So, in this span of less than a year, Desiigner had 2 platinum singles under his belt, one of them multi-platinum, had worked with Kanye, and had joined a major label. Surprisingly, even with all this in his favour, the decline would start pretty fast after that. 2016 was a great year for the twitchy man, but 2017 really didn't hold the same success. For almost 7 months after Timmy Turner, Desiigner released nothing. But then in February of 2017, he would then come out with a new song titled Outlet, but clearly the considerable hype around his name had kinda cooled off by that point, because this song didn't even hit the Billboard 100. And this would kind of be a theme for Desiigner, because every single track he dropped in 2017, those being Holy Ghost, Thank God I Got It, Up, and Life, didn't even chart anywhere. Not in the US, UK, Australia, Canada, France, literally nowhere. Hell, I didn't even know he had dropped songs called Thank God I Got It and Up, and I somewhat enjoy Designer's music to an extent, so that's quite, I didn't know he dropped those, honestly. The biggest thing that he did do in 2017 was feature on a song called Mic Drop Remix, which, to his credit, did go gold, but as for solo success, there really wasn't much to be seen for Desiigner in this year. So, I know what you're thinking now. What about 2018? Well, so far this year, Desiigner is pretty much nowhere to be found. He has not dropped a solo song this year so far, and his only notable feature was on the Diplo song Suicidal, where ironically the phrase "I fall off" was mentioned numerous times. Desiigner has went from being played on radio stations worldwide to basically being a non-factor. I don't know about you guys, but I would call that a fall off.
I'm not letting no nigga get in my way. Fuck nigga talking, get hit with the K. The chopper reloaded, the drum on the K.
So, the question we have to ask now is, why did this happen? Well, personally, I think Desiigner just didn't capitalize on his success fast enough. You remember the album I mentioned earlier called Life of Desiigner, which was announced in June of 2016? It still has not dropped. If he somehow managed to drop that a few months after making the Freshman cover, he could be huge right now because his name was still quite hot at that point. That would have been the perfect time for him to release something. Other than what he did release. Because yeah, to his credit, he did drop the new English mixtape in July, just a month after the Freshman list. But I think dropping that mixtape instead of a full-fledged album, it didn't help. Because New English, honestly, it just wasn't that great, and I was kind of excited for it personally. I wanted to see what Desiigner was going to come with after I really enjoyed the song Panda. But for the most part, it just mostly sounded unfinished. There was nothing as catchy as Panda on there, and some of them were basically just snippets of songs. Now, obviously, albums take time to make, and maybe Desiigner is somewhat of a perfectionist on his albums, so this fall off isn't necessarily his fault. Perhaps he just blew up too fast and wasn't able to get an album ready that he was happy with to drop at his peak. It seems like Desiigner had all the necessary tools to succeed business-wise, but to this point, he just hasn't really utilized them well. So the last question we have to ask is, will he ever make a comeback?
It's all a victory. Balling hard in my eye, watch us work, keep my mind straight, giving dance to the God gave.
Now, here is where things start looking up for Desiigner, because honestly, I really do think he has the chance to make a comeback. He just needs to handle it insanely well. One wrong move at this point and people might completely lose interest in him. If his album drops this year, that shit better be close to flawless because it's coming out almost 2 years after it was announced. Now, Desiigner has stated that he will be dropping 2 projects in 2018, those most likely being the aforementioned Life of Desiigner album and a follow-up to his New English mixtape, so there definitely is a chance that this comeback will happen this year. I think there's kind of a high probability of it. So who knows, maybe these albums contain a song as big as Panda on them. Maybe they'll be great, maybe they'll be disappointing. I think this is just one of those things where we're gonna have to wait and see what happens, guys. I personally think Desiigner has decent odds of making a comeback. We're just gonna have to wait and see what happens. Well guys, that's going to be it for the video today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and I hope you are enjoying the On Then Gone series so far. This is of course the only the second episode in the series. The first one we did was on Tyga, and let me know if you agree with me that Desiigner has fallen off, because I think he 100% has if you look at all the evidence and where he used to be. I think he's nowhere near the heights he used to be, and like I said, he hasn't dropped anything this year so far. But yeah, like I said, you can follow me on Instagram under the name CDTVProductions. You can of course subscribe to my twin, CDTV the G. He does music reactions to new music whenever it comes out, sometimes old music, so definitely subscribe if you want to see that. He looks just like me, we share the exact same opinions, the only difference is he's a bitch, so go there, comment it, let him know, but don't say I told you, okay? That's all I gotta say today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you all in the next one, and this is CDTV Productions, signing out.